Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to another men's group coaching call for the Towers of Strength group. I'm Rob Rains, and I'm with Powerful Identity Coaching, and I've also put this group together and really have grown to appreciate the insights that you guys are sharing in the group. So please keep sharing. It's really neat to watch that and to watch the support that you give each other. This is a great group, and I really value what you guys are doing with each other. So good stuff. I also love the positive atmosphere. I feel like people are able to share things, even controversial things, and they don't get torn down or bashed or criticized, but they get lifted up, and we offer counsel to each other. And you guys are just a great example of that to me. So I'm very grateful for that. I wanted to share today, in today's call, some things that have been kind of stewing for me this week. I watched a movie this week called Cyrano. This is the story of Cyrano de Bergerac, and this is the one, oh goodness, I'm going to forget the actor's name now, so I'm going to look it up. Wish I had this already here. This is a 2001 film with Peter Dinklage as Cyrano. So this was, rather than having him represented with facial disfiguration, he was represented as a little person. Or as they say in the movie, midget. But I believe the correct terminology now is little person. Anyhow, Peter Dinklage does an amazing job in that particular movie. And as you know, or as many of you may know, but I'll just recount it. In the story, Cyrano falls in love with Roxanne. And Cyrano is not a physically beautiful person. In fact, he considers himself physically unattractive enough to not be worthy of her, that she's just out of his league and he never has a chance with her. But he's been in love with her. He's been her friend and has known her for years and has been in love with her most of his life. At one point, he says, "It's my my destiny to love her until I die." And yet, he never. There are moments where he almost gets the courage to pursue, but then his belief that he is not handsome enough cause him to shrink back. And he helps by pretending, by feeding words to someone who is not him. Another character, Christian. He helps Christian to pretend to be him, essentially, to woo Roxanne. And Roxanne falls in love with Christian's beauty, but then as she gets to know him, she essentially says, "Listen, if you're just an empty shell," I'm putting in my words, not hers, but if you're not really, I fall in love with someone's soul, not their looks. And if you're just an empty shell, you're not for me. And he says, no, I really want to share these thoughts with you. And he ends up kind of borrowing from Cyrano. And Cyrano, there's a famous balcony scene where Christian is visiting Roxanne. She's up on a balcony and he's down below, and Cyrano is hidden, is around a wall where Roxanne can't see him, and he's feeding the words Christian. And it's a heart-wrenching scene. There's just some beautiful stuff in there, and I encourage you to see the movie. It's a 2021 movie called Cyrano. But the point that I'm making, or the point that I'm slowly approaching, is that at the end of the movie, so this whole time, Christian is in love with Roxanne, but realizes that Roxanne is really in love with Cyrano. She has fallen in love with his words, with his soul, with who he is. And different things kind of begin to give Cyrano a little bit more courage. Cyrano and Christian are both called off to war. They're sent off to war. And while they're on the battlefront, Cyrano continues to send notes, letters home every day to Roxanne, professing his love for her, but he signs them Christian. And so she believes that she's getting these notes from Christian. Anyhow, in one of the letters that she writes Christian, she tells him, "I don't care if you come back disfigured. I don't care if if the war harms you or disfigures you, like, I will love you no matter what, no matter how you look." And again, remember, she has fallen in love with what she believes is Christian, but it's really Cyrano. She's fallen in love with Cyrano's soul, with who he is as a person, and the way he speaks and the way he moves her. And Cyrano realizes this, that she would be in love with Christian if he were disfigured, and he realizes, maybe I've got a chance. Anyhow, they return. Well, Christian dies. I still recommend seeing the movie. Sorry for the spoiler. Christian dies. Cyrano returns from war, and sometime later, he himself, because he's just been pining for her, and I think the ravages of war and other things have weighed on his mind. He's kind of let himself go and is declining in physical health. And just moments before his death, he finally is able to communicate to her his love for her. Roxanne is there with him. He's finally able to communicate this. She realizes it too. And at the very end, he says, the whole time I was in love with, and I thought he was going to say, I was in love with you. And he says, the whole time I was in love with my pride. And it struck me because other characters, Roxanne, Christian, these characters had a character arc, right? They grew, they developed, they changed in their point of view. Cyrano was a flat character, believe it or not. It bothered me the first time that a literary professor suggested that Cyrano was a flat character, but it is actually correct. He's a flat character because he never changes until the very end, like right at the very end. And he doesn't really change as a person. He doesn't change in character. He just realizes some things, right? Realizing, but without acting on it, you're still a flat character. He realizes that she's been in love with him, not for his looks, but she's been in love with who he is. And she thought it was Christian, but he realizes that she was really in love with his soul. And she's like, I've been in love with you, and you've been in love with me, and we can make this work, kind of thing. But sadly, he dies. This is like kind of his deathbed conversation. What bothered me about that whole thing is that his entire life he went without that love that he wanted, not because it wasn't available to him, not because she couldn't love him, but because he didn't believe that it was possible. Because he didn't believe it was possible, he went without his entire life and realized only on death's door how wrong he'd been and how much he had missed out on by not taking a risk, professing his love and going for it. That's why this story really played on me. It really bothered me. It really troubled me because I see Cyrano in so many of us, brothers. I see that we struggle and we strive and we flounder and fail with a number of different things, when in reality we have the capability to succeed in those things, but we don't believe we do, and so we don't. And but when I'd say believe, I'm talking about faith in how things actually work. You might be confident, you might have plenty of confidence, you might even have lots of self-confidence, but if you do not have faith in how things actually work, if you do not believe that these things are available to you, you're literally going to reject them. In fact, you're going to put out a vibe, a vibration, if you will, a frequency that actually pushes them away. I have a dear friend who truly believes in his heart that all women do is lie, that women are mostly liars, that they say they want one thing, but they really want another. And he believes in his heart that that when he woos a woman, that she will at first pretend to be attracted to him, but she'll eventually leave him for someone else, leave him for a shinier object, someone better looking, someone smarter, someone who makes more money. And the truth is, this guy makes decent money. He's incredibly intelligent. He's a good-looking guy. I know he's working on his physical health, but he's incredibly well-mannered. He's well-spoken. He has a warm heart. He loves people, but he has a belief, a deep-seated belief, that women lie and that they say they want one thing, that they really want another, And when push comes to shove, they're going to leave him and go with someone else. And the sad thing is, he says this openly. He shares this openly on Facebook, and verbally in person and in other places. He shares this without filter. I'm not suggesting here that we filter ourselves, but what I'm saying is, let me ask you for a moment, brothers, to put yourself in this situation. Pretend that you are a woman who genuinely is interested in this guy. Pretend for a moment that you're a woman who is single, who's looking for love, and who is on Facebook and interacting with this man. And you're just starting to get to know him, and you find him, you're like, hey, he's pretty cool, he's smart, he's attractive, I like how he speaks, I'd like to further conversations with him. And then you hear him speak like that. Women say they want one thing, they really want something else, they're liars, they're not honest, all they're going to do is hurt me, all they do is date me for a month or two and then let me go. And if any of you think I'm calling you out, there's a number of you that do this. So I'm not calling any one guy out, but I do have a specific friend in mind. But he may not be. If you think it's you, well, you can reach out to me privately. But anyhow, bear with me for a moment. Pretend you're this woman who is kind of interested in this guy. What are you going to think when you hear him speak that way? Every other woman dates him for a month or two and then leaves. What are you going to think? Subconsciously. You may not even think it out loud, but what will you think? Be honest with yourself. You'd think, what's wrong with him? Why does he like that? Or why is he like that? Why does he think that? Why is he like that? And you'll also think, do I want to be treated that way? Do I want to hang out with a guy that deep-seatedly thinks I'm a liar? The answer is no. Good women, and I know there are women out there that are interested in this guy. Good women who are smart, who have decent self-esteem, who are interested in this guy, guess what they do? They avoid him. Why? Because of how he talks. Because he can't help but share his belief that they're going to go away. By his speaking what he believes, he is actually causing it to come to pass. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, which I know is a hackneyed phrase nowadays, but in his case, it is absolutely true. It does not need to be this way. The only thing that needs to change in this man's life, the only thing that needs to change for him to find a beautiful long-term relationship is his belief, his thought. That's it. Yes, there are other things in his life that could change that would make things better, right? We could all work on our physical health a little bit more. We could all improve our financial health. I'm not saying any of those things aren't a thing that we can do, and sometimes they're one of the more important things that we can do. What I'm saying is, in his case, I can verify that the only thing that he needs to change, the only thing that is preventing him from having a deep and meaningful relationship, is his belief about women and what they do and what they think and how they feel and what they'll do. And let me point out the even more tragic part. That's the other thing that irritated me about Cyrano was, yes, it was a romantic movie, but it was a romantic tragedy, right? It didn't end with the couple coming together and professing their love and then riding off into the sunset and living happily ever after. He figures it out. He finds out what he missed out on, and then he dies. I'm like, that is tragic. That's terrible, right? But going back, this tragedy, here's the real tragedy of this one, right? My friend, where is the blame or the responsibility for what doesn't work? It's on women. At no point does he say, let me examine my words, my thoughts, my behavior. And actually, most of his behavior is great. It's just these few things that he says that are based on deep-seated beliefs. If he changed what he does is he's saying he's not taking accountability and not taking responsibility and saying, maybe there's something I can change in my thoughts or my words or my actions that will bring about a different result. He's saying, it's on these people. It's because of how they think, how they behave, because of something that's wrong with them, that I can't have what I want. So he has put all of the responsibility on them. He truly believes he has done everything in his power. He has put all the responsibility on them. So what happens when you want to change something, but the responsibility to change is, the ball is in someone else's court. The responsibility is someone else's. What does that do for you? Nothing. It makes you powerless. He has literally given up his personal power. He's handed his personal power over to them, over to this undefined woman or group of women that are going to do this terrible thing that he suggests. And the fact is, they do. What he does is he drives away women that would be faithful to him, and he attracts women that find him a curiosity, who are mildly interested, and who will walk away after a couple months when they get tired of his negativity. And he's not a perpetually negative person. He is a mostly positive person, but who feels negatively about women and a little bit about himself, and believes that that's all he'll ever attract. Guys, I want to shoot straight with you. I want to shoot honestly with you, because someone was honest with me. Multiple someones were honest with me. When I had some, what I'm going to call stinking thinking, that's a common phrase nowadays. I didn't make it up. But when I had some stinking thinking, I had some people that pointed it out to me and said, yeah, you need to change how you think. You need to change how you speak. Otherwise, you're going to keep running into the same problem. And I've had a number of things that I've needed to change over the course of when I was dating. And I had a number of thoughts and beliefs that I needed to change. I had a number of things that I had to become aware of and learn more about. I also had a number of things in my heart, a number of fears that I needed to heal from in order to be ready to be in a relationship. And for those that don't know, I was able to remarry. I'm married for the second time. Beautiful, wonderful lady. Got married just a couple months ago, just in May. And the reason that I share this, the reason that I mention this, is because what changed over the course of my dating was my thoughts. That was the first thing that changed, the way I thought and believed about myself, about other people, and about the world around me. And then secondly, I changed the way I spoke to and about myself, to and about other people, and about the world around me. And I made myself responsible for each circumstance I was having. Anything that I had that bugged me, yes, I'd be frustrated for a moment. Sometimes I'd swear or get angry or whatever. But then I'd say, okay, why am I experiencing this? What am I feeling? I'm feeling angry. Okay, the anger's come to deliver me a message. Let me listen to this message. What is the message? And when I really got quiet and listened, often it was a challenge to me to change something, to be better, to step up in another area. And I thought, that's not fair. I mean, this thing happened to me, but God was teaching me that I needed to step up. And sometimes the lesson came through another person verbally, that they would teach me, hey, dude, here's where you're messing up. So the point is, guys, I want to share with you this truth that I find over and over and over and over again. And that is that when we are not getting the results that we want in our lives, when we are, whatever it is, it could be in romance or relationships, it could be financially, it could be physically, our physical health or physical appearance, it could be whatever it is. Yes, there are a few things in life, a very few, over which we have no control. Most things we have a pretty decent degree of control over, though we may not realize it. And the issue is that when we have these problems that are recurring, especially if it's a pattern over and over and over again, we try something, we fail, we try something, we fail, we try something, we fail. That is usually God gently and lovingly telling us, look at this pattern, look at what you're doing. I'm bringing you this pattern as a challenge, as a loving gift for you to look at and say, what can I change? What can I do differently? And when we change, when we approach it with a different thought, a different way of approaching it, a lot of those problems, we find a solution. We find a solution we had never thought of before, because we're willing to think outside the box. We're willing to look for solutions outside the tiny box that we've been programmed into from birth, by the way our parents thought, by the way our people around us thought, family and friends and others. The truth is, there are answers. There are solutions to almost every problem that exists. And if it's your problem, here's the other fun part, then you are already blessed. Not if it's your problem, that means you have the ability to solve it, but you already have the gifts inside of you needed to solve that problem. You have the ability to get the healing you need. You have the ability to change your thoughts. You have the ability to change your words. Those things don't belong to somebody else. That ability belongs to you. And as you accept it and make a commitment and then step forward with action, I'll tell you, things change. The universe begins to move in your favor. And nothing is instantaneous or overnight, right? It's not going to be instant. It's going to take some time. There's a gestation period for everything. As a friend of mine is fond of pointing out, sorry, give me 1 second. As a friend of mine is fond of pointing out, one woman can have a baby in 9 months, but 9 women can't have a baby in 1 month. Sometimes we can't speed things up. It's just going to happen at the pace it's going to happen. But I promise you that as soon as you shift your thoughts, as soon as you change the way you think about something and begin to think and speak and act in alignment in a brand new direction, heaven begins to move in that direction with you. It begins to, especially if you are working within the laws, right? And by the laws, I just mean you're doing it in the right way. And by the right way, that varies depending on what it is that you're trying to do. But if you align your thoughts, words, and actions with the Lord in a specific direction, you can't fail. As long as you persist in that direction, you're going to keep going, and you will find the blessings that he has for you. And they're usually better than the blessings that you think he's got for you. Again, guys, I don't know how I don't want to harp on this too much, and certainly not trying to beat anyone's head in, but I can't tell you the sheer number of guys that I talk to that are struggling with a relationship and that truly in their head believe it's the other person's fault. And actually I had an opportunity many months ago. There were a couple of guys in here that were complaining about dating relationships, about recent past relationships. And I happened to know this one gal that had dated both guys. And I reached out to her and I said, I promise to keep this confidential. So sorry, I won't be able to share her name. But I said, would you mind if I ask about recent guys that you've dated and the experiences you've had with them? And she said, no, that's fine. And she shared her experiences. Now, these guys both expressed frustration with women in general. One of them specifically expressed frustration with her, but without calling her name out, which I appreciate. And, talked about the way that she behaved toward him and the way that he kind of felt like it wasn't fair, like he felt a little used. And I went to her and said, can you give me your side of the story? And she gave me her side of the story on both guys. And I didn't mention those guys' names. I just said, can you tell me about guys you've recently dated? Because I want to respect their confidentiality, so I'm not going to tell you their names. So just tell me the last few. And she happened to mention the two that I was thinking of. And she shared things that they had done and said, and the ways that they behaved. And I realized they were acting without awareness. They didn't know the way they were acting, how it came across to her. And the way it came across to her is very similar to the way it was going to come across to any decent woman that they were dating. And the sad thing is, because I'm keeping her confidence, I can't go back to these guys and go, let me tell you what you're doing wrong, dude. I can tell you exactly what you're doing wrong and exactly how to fix it, right? And so that's why I'm coming to all of you guys in a video and in a coaching thing here, and just saying, believe it or not, you might believe that I'm just talking out of my hat. But the truth is, I talk to a number of people. I see what's happening, and I made enough mistakes myself and had to heal from and fix those mistakes. And I received, coaching and therapy and things I've learned in there that I'm able to turn around and share. But guys, I have a perspective where I'm able to see and pinpoint these problems much more quickly. And I can tell you guys, if you're not having the experiences that you want in dating, and if you're having, especially if you're having a pattern that repeats itself over and over and over, I promise it's a gift from God to you to examine some part of your life that needs to heal. That recurring negative pattern is telling you that there's a place in you that needs to heal. And when you heal that and fix that place, your thoughts and your words change, and you will begin to not experience that issue anymore when you change your thoughts, words, and actions around that new piece, that new identity, or that new the new thing that you learn, that new principle. I'm excited to help you guys do that. I do this specifically. I'm sharing very general principles now. I do this in great specificity with coaching clients because they're able to share the specifics of what's happening in their life. And so I'm able to show them and challenge them and help them look at exactly what they're seeing and exactly where those discrepancies lie, the delta between what they say they want and the way that they're actually behaving. And brethren, I promise each of you has the capacity within you to find an amazing, amazing person that is going to make you feel awesome, and you're going to make her feel awesome. And you can have that amazing relationship that you deeply crave and desire. And you're going to get there by changing your thoughts. So if you're running into these struggles, running into this over and over and over again, reach out, private message me, or throw it in the group. If you feel comfortable putting it in the group, you can always post anonymously, but private message me, ask for help. I help guys all the time with this. Often we can do it in 1 or 2 coaching sessions. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but boy, guys, it is so worth it. And I'm just going to tell you, just personally, I've over the last probably 6 years, I've put more than $20,000 of my own money into coaching, and it's made a huge difference. It's money that I didn't think I could afford at the time, but boy, it's made a huge difference and really helped me to change. It helped me to improve my dating experience and to have a much better dating experience, and it helped me to find my wife, who is amazing. And not just her, but the relationship that we have is amazing. It's what I wanted. And that is so critical. It's so amazing. And I don't say that in any way to rub your nose in it or to brag or boast. I say that to in the hopes that you get your hopes up, that you guys go, I can do that too. If Rob can do it, man, I can rip it up. I can really do this. And that's true. Man, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So guys, I invite you to, to really take a deep dive into how you're thinking, how you're speaking, how you're behaving, and what at all in your control might be pushing people away or preventing the thing that you're trying to get to. And if you want some specific help with it, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Powerful Identity Coaching. Rob Rains, you guys are amazing. Have yourselves an amazing Saturday, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.